Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Beddoe, your host at AI Today. And this week we have Jen Godet, who's visiting us, and she's going to talk about how she's using AI in all of her ventures, from deploying it into customers' IT environments all the way through coaching. And so I encourage everyone to stay with us, listen to the things that she has to say, because you can use some of these things and be as successful as she is, gain a little bit of time back, save a little bit of money, and really take advantage of AI. I encourage everybody to stay with us as we go to commercial break, and we'll be back in a few minutes to really hear from Jen and see how she's really doing some fantastic things. Hi, welcome back to AI Today with Dr. Alan Beddoe. I'm your host. And today we're going to look at a couple of different things around integrating AI into an operational environment. The key point in this is, there are ways that we as business owners can save time and save, money, quite honestly. And, a friend of mine, just to give you an idea, I was talking to him and he had said that, it only takes me a couple hours a week to do, check his email and get through everything. And I, explained that, AI is one of those ways that we can significantly reduce that time that it takes him to do those kind of things. And so, at the end of the day, we have to look at ways that we can optimize our environments and really drive home our additional capabilities so we can focus on other things. And those are the things that we're going to talk about as we look forward. AI from a big data perspective, enhancing machine learning, those kind of things is really to be embraced, but we all have to be very careful in how we are deploying these tools and how we're using them to support our operations. We're always trying, of course, as I said earlier, to reduce costs, but also we want to enhance our decision-making capability. And the only way that we can do that is through using AI and looking at every piece of data that we can get our hands on. And at the end of the day, it's always about trying to improve our customer experience as well. That's one of the things that we have to be very careful about. It takes years in some cases to build up a rapport with our customers. And with AI, because you are really going at the speed of now, the challenge can be that if it gets out of hand too quick, your relationship with your customers, if things go bad, can be gone in minutes. So we have to be very, very careful about that. I've been doing this for almost 25 years, from deploying AI into government environments to optimizing mop buckets for, certain customers. And, we're always trying to figure out ways that we can optimize, our logistics, our supply chain. We're trying to figure out ways that we can optimize what the manufacturing process, looks like. And of course, from healthcare to, really basic research and design, even, to software development. We're always trying to get an edge, and we're always trying to stay one step ahead of our competitors. If you look at asset management and really the supply chain area as a whole, if you're a construction company, for example, and you can reduce the amount of times that you have to take your vehicles in to have them fixed, or whatever the life cycle management processes that you're using, if you can use AI to optimize that, then that's going to save you an awful lot of money, because it can predict based on, historical information when a part may break or when it's time to get something serviced. And if you can extend those vehicles even, months or even a couple of years, that's a tremendous cost savings that you can reallocate to other types of operational needs that you have. And it also means that your capital that you can use can be redeployed to other areas as well. And so, from supply chain and logistics to construction and even the food industry, there are ways that we can use these tools. Now, I'm not going to recommend any specific tool. There's a lot of them that are out there. But what I will say is that as you are looking at these tools, the important thing is play with them before you deploy them into a production environment. And the reason is that you don't know how these tools are going to behave with your data. You don't know how they're going to behave within your store, within your environment, how it's going to interact with your users, how it's going to interact with your customers. And so you've got to make sure that you're 100% comfortable trying to use these tools to solve whatever the problem is that you're trying to solve. There are data privacy issues, of course. There are ethical concerns. The question that I get all the time is it meant to replace humans? And so thinking about those three things can keep folks up at night. It definitely keeps me up at night. And so what I do is, from an ethical perspective, I look at how the data is used in these models to train them, where they get the data from, and what sort of impacts it can have to my customers, as well as my own internal needs. The problem that you can run into, and quite honestly, it's probably not a when, it is a definite, is that eventually something's going to happen. Your data may get out, and that can cause some implications that folks are not prepared about. And so if you go about using these tools in a way that you just know something eventually is going to happen, then you can prepare for those, especially from an ethical perspective, because you've just got to make sure that you're adhering to the best standards that you can, from a human perspective, is easily as possible. Now, from a human oversight perspective, as well as, is it meant to take jobs? I look at these tools as a supplement to humans. There are some examples where you can reduce the amount of touch labor that you have in certain areas, but what generally has to happen is you have to increase the amount of oversight with these AI tools. And so you may reallocate some labor, but you're not going to be able to get rid of a wholesale bunch of people. And it doesn't matter if it's a service desk to some of the other examples that I used earlier. Because the problem is like I mentioned earlier, from an ethical perspective, from a performance perspective, eventually these tools can go awry. So you have to be careful. And so the only way that you can prevent that is by having humans that are watching the AI as it performs. They're watching the AI as it interacts with your customers, and they're there to make a course correction as quickly as possible. That's the only way that you can guarantee that you're adhering to really the best practices and standards that industry has in trying to make sure that we're prepared for activities when the AI isn't having the best day. You'll hear as we go along, sometimes I'll say that the AI is hallucinating, or the AI is just giving the wrong answer. And like when Google first came out, everybody was Googling things, and then oh, Google said this and Google said that. And now it's worse with AI, because the AI is telling you the answer, and it's telling you in a way that is very easy to understand and communicate with. And so that makes it even more dangerous. And so, again, making sure that we're checking, the facts, we're double checking the AI, we're looking at what sort of, responses that it is providing. That is only going to take place if a human is interacting with the AI on a regular basis. Now, the fantastic thing is that it really is hitting every aspect of our lives, and there's no way that we're going to be able to escape it. It is the new norm. There's no other way to put it. Now, what we're going to do on this show is we're going to help you understand those activities. We're going to try to let you deploy these tools, and in some cases I'll give you advice around this on what the most economical way is, and really how you can get a fantastic benefit from deploying these. And it quite honestly, I have not seen one industry yet where it cannot be used for something, whether that's managing your supply that you have on your shelves, to helping you save some time on the financial part of it, to reading your emails, to doing even more complex things like evaluating your marketing material or helping you sift through data. Those are the things that, as you are working to drive into your business, you have to stay ahead of, and I'm going to help you do that. That will enable really the sustainment of your operations. And if you can use these tools quicker, faster, more economically than your competitors, then you will gain a very, very, very significant advantage that we hope that you'll be able to exploit. Now, looking at all of these things, it's really important to, one, you can't be afraid of new technology. I know that there are folks that really enjoy, really spouting, that's the only way to say it, the scariness of it. And then there are others on the opposite side that say, it's gonna take over this, it's gonna do this, it can do all these things. Like everything else, the reality is in the middle. Taking advantage of what it's really good at, being prepared for what it's not as good at, is the key to succeeding. And take it from me, there's been some spectacular successes that I've had, as well as some spectacular failures from an AI perspective. And the only way that you can do it, in an ethical manner, in a risk-averse methodology, is through making sure your processes are in place, you're double checking things, you have a human in the loop, and you're just paying attention to how the AI is performing and monitoring that. And if you can do all those things, at the end of the day, you're going to be successful in your ventures, and the rest of us will be able to learn from those and help others at the same time. Welcome back to AI Today, and I'm your host, Dr. Alan Bedeau. If you're just tuning in, we're diving deep into the world of AI, exploring the incredible potential to transform our lives and really our businesses, and the challenges that we're facing, making sure that we're using it responsibly. And whether you're an AI enthusiast or you're just curious about the future of the technology, there's something here for everyone. And so with that, let's go ahead and continue our journey. It's my pleasure to introduce a trailblazer in the world of business and artificial intelligence. Many of you already know her as the dynamic host of NowMedia's Power CEOs, as well as Vital Signs. But today we're going to dive deep into AI. Please join me in welcoming the ever-inspiring Jen Godet, an investor who's really reshaping AI. Thanks, Jen, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really actually kind of excited. I don't get to be on this side of the conversation very often.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And those of you that don't know, Jen she's an investor in AI companies. One specifically, Data Dive, international best-selling author whose insight to transform businesses has really been visionary. And she's also a executive coach who's helping folks really transform how they're doing business. And now, as she's taken a lot of that expertise and she's deploying it inside the field of AI for business operations, that's pretty amazing. And on top of that, Jen has a weekly LinkedIn audio session on AI. Fantastic source. I encourage everybody really to go out and listen to it because it talks about emerging trends and the dynamics around that. And so, Jen, thank you again for being here. But I want to quickly start around the whole concept that you've had for a long time around the business athlete. AI is one of those shapers that can really help overwhelmed executives and entrepreneurs change how they're doing business and change how they're maximizing their lifestyle. And I'd really love for you to share with us, how you have adapted this powerful mantra and, into your AI, ventures, as well as how you're helping executives get through this.
Yeah, so that's a really excellent question. As business athletes, just like as elite athletes, we're always looking for what gives us that entrepreneurial edge. And really, AI is a fantastic tool. It's a technology tool that we can leverage. And in the business side of things, it might look like we're able to improve our operations, save time in some of the day-to-day tasks just by automating tasks and by utilizing the generative AI to sort of do our research for you. I use AI very extensively to consume large amounts of data and summarize it for me so that I know what's the newest trend, what's the latest and greatest. And that's what we coach our clients to sort of look at. Look at how you're spending your time. What are the things that are happening repetitively day over day that are more transactional in nature? And I always recommend you start there first, because when we start with the tasks that free up our time from the non-revenue generating side and we move forward and we're now freeing up our time to do those high impact activities that are directly revenue generating, such as building relationships, doing deals, buying companies, whatever that looks like, what we have done is we've created that edge that gives us the leverage to do all the things that are going to grow our business.
Yeah, that's fantastic. One of the challenges that I've seen with executives, especially executives that don't use these tools, is they wind up a little bit in quicksand. They don't know what direction to go. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to do it. They don't know where to start. So for an executive or a small business that's looking to do something like this, what advice would you give them on where to really start?
That's an excellent question, and it's always educate yourself. We start by researching what's out there. Like there's a site out there that you can Google, there's an AI for that. And there are off the shelf, sometimes free, sometimes very low cost opportunities to do some things with AI. And I encourage everybody to educate yourself, to learn about it, and to pick something and start playing with it. Doesn't necessarily have to be in your business. One of the ones that everybody jumped on was ChatGPT. Well, if you learn about how generative AI works through ChatGPT by feeding it in some prompts, and you have to be very strategic about your prompts, otherwise it's going to give you a random thing that it gives everyone. But if you feed it information about you and what you're trying to achieve and some of your own content and ask it to put it into, for example, an outreach email or a Facebook post or something like that, it really is an excellent tool. And so you start by educating yourself, and then you start playing with some of the things that are out there that are maybe freebies right now, so that you can start to get used to how the machine learns, because machines learn different than human beings. And so it's really important that we educate ourselves and we start experiencing it. And then on the business side, we have to be strategic. So what is the plan? What are the tasks that are eating our time if we're a solopreneur, eating our team's time if we have a small team or we're a small business, or that are repetitive tasks happening over and over again? That's an excellent place to form an AI strategy and find a technology tool that's going to help us to optimize our time and efficiency and give us that entrepreneur's edge.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. When we have been working with folks, it's always trying to figure out and have them nail down where should we start. What are the highest priorities for us, and then what are those redundant tasks that you can really easily get away from. I know everybody is worried about it's going to either take my job, or it's going to turn into a Terminator, or it's going to hit a singularity, or those kind of things. But the reality is that starting small, playing with it, and getting educated, as you said, is really the best place for everybody to start. Now, with that, it's I have seen, and I know you have too, Jen, that it's really starting to change the dynamics of the boardroom. It's changing the dynamics of meetings in general. What advice from a coaching perspective in how executives can take advantage of the power of AI for themselves have you provided to folks?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. And I'm going to say yes, integrating artificial intelligence in the boardroom is important, but really it's about being transparent about the direction we're going with our employees and our team members. Because one of the biggest challenges that executives have, because I've seen this, and they usually engage me after they make this mistake, so don't make this mistake. The board decides this is an excellent tool. I'm going to put this integration in. Here's my standard operating procedures and go, and has it built out to spec according to some generally outdated standard operating procedures without going to the frontline employees whose jobs this is impacting. And that causes a whole lot more fear than is necessary. It causes the AI to be trained on maybe old data or less than efficient data. So when we think about the boardroom, it's really a team approach. We want to be consulting with our frontline managers and our frontline individuals who are doing these tasks that we're looking to leverage the efficiencies from, because sometimes they're doing things a little bit differently than our SOPs say, for example, or maybe they found a more efficient and effective way to do things, and we really want their impact. And when we get them at the early stages and we're very transparent about, we're going to use this tool and we're going to train you on how to leverage it so it saves you time and allows you to focus on the higher value tasks that you really enjoy doing. As a result, you've got a more engaged team, you have a better outcome on the AI integration, and what you have is employee retention, because they're not afraid that the AI integration is going to take their job. You've communicated with them all along the way, and they feel empowered. They're no longer afraid of it. We're taking that fear out and showing them, listen, I'm not replacing you. What I'm doing is allowing you to get to do things that are a little bit more fun for you or more advanced, and here's your career path. And these are the tools that I'm going to provide for you to make it successful. So, I kind of didn't answer the question from the boardroom as such, but it's so incredibly important that we only take a top-down approach, because that is where the fear and some of the errors in integration have occurred in the clients that I'm consulting with. So it's get your team engaged, be transparent, understand where the time sucks are, and that's an operational coaching situation. Where are the inefficiencies in our operations? What are our priorities, and how are we going to combat that? Get the team involved, get their input, and then move forward.
Yeah, and one more quick question around that. I've seen where it's a really changing the relationship at that front line, as you were saying, with how people are performing and how they embrace it as they use it more, and that really changes the dynamics of their work. What real quick advice would you give for the frontline worker that's actually going to benefit from this?
Yeah, so it's going to be the same advice that we talked about earlier. Educate yourself, play with the tool, don't be afraid of it. And the most important thing for our frontline is communicate. What we're seeing in the small business world, I do a lot of coaching in the small business world, is the frontline employees are already playing with some of these tools like ChatGPT. Well, if you're doing that in a business setting, you have to make sure that that's okay with the entrepreneur or the C-suite, or the board, that's allowed, because sometimes there's concerns over data privacy, or what is going out there. We don't want to be putting protected information and IP into an open source AI. So if you're already thinking about this, communicate that to your leadership and say, look, I want to be one of the people who is on the front line of this. I want to leverage the technology to improve my efficiency. And if you're afraid of it, educate yourself, play with it outside of your company systems, because your company might not want the data going into some of the open source, but it's a communication game. And if we on the front line, if our frontline team members are engaged and are interested, we want to target them as maybe the team leads in the integration of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's great. And with that, Jen, where can folks find you on LinkedIn? How can they get a hold of you? How can they listen to your LinkedIn audio show weekly?
Yeah, so every week on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Central Time, I facilitate with Aoife Roach LinkedIn audio on artificial intelligence. We talk about emerging trends, we talk about where it's going, we talk about ethical guidelines and considerations so that you're protected from a cybersecurity standpoint, and we curate experts. We would love to have you join us. Once again, that's 11 a.m. Central Time every Tuesday on LinkedIn. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me, my name is Jen Gaudet, Gengaudet. There's a picture of Dr. Phil and me as the cover. That's how you know it's the right one. Connect with me, follow me, and you will see the invitations to those, because I post it usually on Friday or Monday. I'm posting the link so that people can find it more easily.
That's great. Thank you. And I encourage everybody to be there, listen. It's fantastic. Again, thank you, Jen, for being here. It was awesome. And with that, we'll be right back. Welcome back to AI Today. I'm your host, Dr. Alan Badeau. Again, if you're just tuning in, we've had a great conversation with Jen Gaudet around a lot of different things, AI and coaching and business. And what we're going to do now is really dive into, how you can apply AI to things that are much bigger and much more impactful than just having it check your emails or do different types of internet searches for you. We want to understand what some of the larger, really cost savings can produce, and the time savings that come along with that. And so, Jen, from your perspective as an entrepreneur, venture capitalist, and really a lot of impactful things from an AI perspective, how would you best, give advice to folks that are really trying to better understand the underlying dynamics of their business, use it to look at data, and really, save a significant amount of time around that?
That's an excellent question. And I'm going to start with due diligence. I buy businesses frequently and I invest in businesses, and due diligence is the most expensive, time-consuming piece of determining, am I going to put my money here? Is my money going to be safe if I put my money here? Do I want to buy this company, or do I want to pass on this company? And that used to take me 15 to 20 hours a week. So I'm going to give you a personal example, and then I'm going to give you a client example. And so what I did was I had artificial intelligence integrated, and what I'm able to do is when I request financials because I'm thinking about buying a business or investing in a business, the AI can literally pour through all of the audited financials, all of the balance sheets, everything, and determine the red flags, like the things that don't make sense, or maybe where there's something that doesn't add up because it's out of the ordinary. And then it spits it out to me. So what used to take me 15 to 20 hours a week now takes me about 3 to 5, because there's so much data. If I'm looking at policies and procedures, for example, with a client, and trying to see where do we need to change, or where are we going wrong in an employee handbook or training manual, I'm able to compress that data, have the AI really look at all that data and send me a summary of whatever's real and relevant very rapidly. And so by compressing that time from 15, 20 hours a week down to about 3 to 5, I'm saving many hours of my time and my team's time, but I'm also saving on the due diligence because I don't have to pay a CPA or a fractional CFO to look at the financials. I can easily sort and sift through the things that are not going to meet my criteria for buying a business or investing in a business. So that's one example. I want to give a client example because I think this is going to really hit you, your viewers. And that's this is a home services company, HVAC company, multiple locations, a couple of states. And what happens is a lot of times guys in trucks get promoted to management and then they're in charge of the location, if you will. And so the entrepreneur or the leadership team wants financial reporting and wants all of these spreadsheets from these guys who they're techs, they're not spreadsheet jockeys, they really don't understand, like they're not CPAs, they don't understand the financials per se. But we've integrated an AI solution that can literally look at all of the structured data. And what is structured data? That's all of your data that could be put into a spreadsheet. That's anything that's on a computer, pretty much. Your invoices, your sales pipeline, your leads, your cost per lead, like all of that can be put in, and you can ask it with human language. Hey, what is the sales pipeline for the next 2 months? And it can scour all of the spreadsheets for these guys and spit out an answer that they can then go to their board meeting once a quarter with real data and real answers without spending countless hours trying to figure it out on their own. So, and if you multiply that by each location, think about it's taken these guys a day to 2 days to put this together for a 1 hour board meeting maybe. And now it's done in minutes because the AI has access to all of the data that's coming in and all of their other systems is completely integrated. So, I mean, the time savings is tremendous, but not only that, the board now has better information because that artificial intelligence is able to spit out that data and show the reference points so you know that it's real, it's relevant, and it's not a user error, which is something that we see a lot, especially in like the trades businesses when we're looking at it from a financial reporting standpoint, for example.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've worked with some folks and they would say, well, it only takes me 2-3 hours a week to do something like that. I'm not going to mess with the AI piece. And then I cringe when I hear people say that because when you multiply that over a few months or years, it's a huge impact to your life and whether it's the work piece or whether it is your personal life. Time matters, and that's one thing that we can't get back, right? Is time. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't do anything with that. So take advantage of every opportunity that you have to save time, and I think that's going to be a better impact for folks, and maybe diving even a little bit deeper into the tools discussion. Is there really any one tool that you would recommend for folks to start to try or to use, or one of your favorites that you like to go to? I know I have about 14 of them that I will play around with every, one didn't give me the answer that I wanted and I go to another one. What about you?
So, I mean, I'm not going to say that there's just one. I am a big fan of having something, especially for the larger companies, that is designed for your systems and is trained on your data and not open source. But if you're just getting started, there's a couple of things that we encourage. Like I really enjoy ChatGPT from a learning perspective because it's so user friendly. It's prompt answer format, and for a low expense per month, you can get the more updated version, and it could generate imagery for you, logos. I actually played with it myself and had it generate a logo for my new roll up that I'm doing, and had it generate imagery for like t-shirts and things for merchandise. So it's really interesting what is possible, and it's user friendly. So I usually say if you're going to dip your toe in, go to something that's open source. Don't put anything that's protected information out there and utilize it. There are also, I use it for slideshows as well, and I use the extensions, for example, the Chrome extensions for the Google, because I use Google Drive. It's just easy for me. But a lot of your brand name, household brand names have extensions that have AI integrated in them. What I really love right now is I'm using Zoom has an integration, read.ai. It takes video of everybody, tells you the bias, whether people are leaning in, whether they're leaning out, if they're engaged, if they're disengaged. And I train a lot of entrepreneurs and executives on executive presence, speaking and pitching so that they can pitch to investors or pitch to sell their business. And so what Read.ai does is it gives you the imagery and it tells you how people are leaning in. So it's great for sales. It's great to understand if you're using a lot of meaningless intensives, the right. Like you can eliminate all of those because it literally tells you that. And it also tells you if you have any kind of offensive language. And I'm an international business owner, entrepreneur, and I do business all over. And some things that are not offensive in America might be offensive in another country that also speaks English, but they have different slang for their words. So it really kind of has helped hone that in for my clients, and it's really relatively inexpensive to get the full aspect. And for those who are interested in avatars, I did mine at HeyGen. 11 Labs is great for the audio. I kind of combine a few things. And when you do that, if you have an avatar for you, you can literally tech stack some of the things. Like maybe you're tech stacking Chat GPT along with your avatar and the audio. And you put it all together and it can generate your social media content with your avatar, so you don't even have to be in front of the video, which is a limiting factor for a lot of people. They're afraid to press go on a live, but right now over 65% of all sales happen off of video content. So having that AI avatar is kind of good because people can see your face, they can hear your voice. Is it perfect? No, but it's a great way to start. So those are some of the things that I like to play with and that I've integrated as well.
Yeah, that's great. It took me a while to find a bald avatar, though. It wasn't the easiest thing to do, but once I got it, he's in good shape now, though. So I think with that, Jen, again, appreciate you being here. It was fantastic, great conversation, great information for folks. Where can people find you other than LinkedIn?
So they can go to NowMedia.tv and click on Power CEOs and see my TV show every single week. I have Power CEOs and Vital Signs if you're interested in healthcare. LinkedIn is the best way to get me, but you can also reach out to me via email. That's Jen, JenGaudet, at jengodetcoaching.com. That's a great way to get me as well. I am responsive to that email. LinkedIn is on the screen. You can go there. That's a great way to get me as well. So thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you again. Welcome back to AI Today. I'm your host, Dr. Alan Badeau. We just heard from Jen Gaudet on how she's deploying AI into operational environments, how she's assisting her customers in really saving time and money, as well as in her other ventures that she has, her many AI exploits around, including coaching, and how she's using that to save a significant amount of time. I want to touch on the coaching piece for a few minutes, simply because I think it's really one of the emerging areas where AI can significantly help humans really advance their interactions, their capabilities, as well as their career paths that they have. Now, if you look at AI, we know that AI has many, many, many definitions, and it really, as I have talked about earlier, it is one of the most important emerging technologies, really, in the history of mankind, and its impact can be felt in every single environment. It doesn't matter if it's supply chain to the food industry to computational fluid dynamics. Quite honestly, it's one of those areas that in technologies that can impact us in a positive way but also, as I said earlier, a negative voice. We just have to be careful. Now, from a coaching perspective, using these tools to better yourself is, really a no-brainer. And that's from, kids that are in school to adults trying to figure out what their next move is going to be from a career perspective. AI is one of those tools that, as I explained to my customers, I'm an absolutely terrible drawer. I am not an artist. I'm a stick figure kind of guy. If you want an engineering diagram, I can put 12,000 words on a single slide in PowerPoint. I thrive and I love those kind of things. But from an AI perspective, it now is a capability where I don't have to be a fantastic artist. All I have to be is a visionary. I just have to figure out what that vision is, and AI can help me do that. So just because I can't paint doesn't mean I can't come up with, grandiose ideas that I would love to see on paper. And I think, anybody that has used, some of the, graphic generators online can attest to some of the things and capabilities and the power that it fundamentally has, where you just explain to it what you want to see and it will pop up. From a coaching perspective, it's the exact same way. You now have a tool at your hands where you can ask it for advice. You can ask it for career paths. You can ask it, how can I better a certain portion of your leadership skills, for example. It is that powerful of a tool that it can do a lot of those things. Now, the challenge, of course, that you always have is that model trained on that capability? And the answer is going to be maybe. You don't know unless you ask. There are some models that do much better than others. If it's a proprietary toolkit, like some of the leadership capabilities that are out there, then they may not be able to train the models on it because that data is proprietary and it's not available. But that doesn't mean that you can't still try to figure out a way that you can ask it in a different manner that will still give you an answer to help you out. The best example that I have is really writing a business plan. I've done many of them. I don't enjoy it. I really don't. They are time consuming, and everybody wants to see a little bit different format, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I used AI on my last two to write the business plan for me. I said, I want to do this, this, and this with a certain few customers, and I want to focus my efforts on these sort of AI capabilities. And the AI helped me write my business plan. It spit out 18 slides, and I would just give it the information and it would populate those for me. The same sort of thing for software development. You can have it help you generate code, and you can test the code, and you can better yourself from that perspective. And so what you need to do is you really need to think of it as either a concierge or a advisor, where if you need advice, you have a place to go where you can get that advice. Now, again, advice is like everything else. Whether you're asking a human for advice or you're asking AI for advice, you have to check it. You've got to make sure that it's, consistent with what you're trying to do. You've got to make sure that it is really in line with the direction that you want to go. And really, it's making sure that from an organizational perspective, that you are implementing the strategies and the ability to measure the performance that you're anticipating when you were going into this study. I use it all the time. I use it in just about every single fashion of my life. There are times that I say, I'm dealing with a certain work situation, and what would you do from an advice perspective? How would you handle a certain capability? It never hurts to get a different perspective. I don't agree with it all the time, but it has given me a different perspective in some cases where it helps me look at things a little bit differently, attack it a little bit from a different vector, and really try to do something new in some cases where other things haven't worked quite as well as maybe an idea that the AI came up with. And that doesn't matter if it's if you're looking at from weight to maybe you want to shed a few pounds for after Christmas, or maybe you want to improve your performance in the gym, or maybe you want to be a little bit better of a leader in certain scenarios. Fundamentally, being able to have something that you can go to all the time and at least ask a question is really powerful. And I'm working with some customers now to develop some very unique capabilities, so it can not only look at some of the things around empathy and some of those other type of behaviors, but really looking at all of the psychological traits and trying to allow the AI to be that much more powerful to help you out in whatever your journey is going to be. Really, what we're trying to do is we're really trying to decentralize how people are using these tools. We want to really democratize not only from coaching, but really every single aspect of your life, how you can use these sorts of capabilities and tools. Because at the end of the day, you'll find out that having something that you interface with, having something that you trust because you've used it a lot, you've built a relationship with it, it really can impact every aspect of your life. And if you can get a few moments back that you can spend more time with your family, you can do additional things that work faster. That's the power of artificial intelligence. And from a coaching perspective, that's the power of having somebody that you can go to ask certain questions at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep because you've got something on your mind. That right there is really the most powerful thing that AI can give you. It can give you a little bit more time because, as we all know, the clock keeps running and there's not enough hours in the day. And any sort of time that you can get back that you can do other things with, that really is a true gift. So I want to thank everybody for joining me this week, and I look forward to having more conversations with you as we go forward, helping you drive AI into every aspect of your life and really seeing a benefit from it. So thank you, and I'll see you all very soon.
This has been a NowMedia Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.